Ladies and gentlemen, we are live tonight with Monday Night Nerd. Welcome, one and all. Thank you all for tuning into the podcast. I am happy to be here. My name is Myers Corp Creations, and I have been a nerd since pretty much I was born. I've been a cosplayer for over a decade. I have been attending conventions for over a decade, and I am here to talk about one of my favorite topics, cosplay. Like I said, I've been a cosplayer for 10 years. We're going to talk about many different things. We're going to talk about how I got into cosplay. We're going to be talking about some things I'm working on. We're going to be talking about my favorite cosplays, everything from top to bottom, soup to nuts, as they say about cosplay. But first, we're going to start off with a little bit of current events, the newsy news. For those who can tell by the shirt, I went to see a certain movie this weekend, and if you know me as a cosplayer, you know why I went to see this movie. One of my main cosplays is Luigi, and I got to go see the Super Mario Brothers movie on Saturday night. And yes, I did dress up. I did not dress up as Luigi. I dressed up as Mario because based on the trailers and everything that I had seen, and I was right, Luigi is kind of captured for 99% of the movie. I'm not spoiling anything. It's in all the trailers. But it was a good movie. It was a really good movie. I was the voice cast for how much people had a problem with when they were announced, and people laughed and people joked. Every single one of them worked out perfectly. Chris Pratt was perfect as Mario. They make fun of the over-the-top Italian accent at the beginning of the film, which just makes it even funnier. Charlie Day, oh my God, Charlie Day as Luigi was perfect as well. I can't say anything bad about him. The demeanor of Luigi was just out of this world. It was perfect. I couldn't have been happier with it. Overall, it was such a good movie. I will probably be buying it on Blu-ray when it comes out. I probably won't go see it in theaters again, even though part of me wants to. But yeah, I can't say anything bad about it. In hearing that it is now the highest grossing weekend or something for animated, it beat Frozen 2, was just like, oh, thank you. It deserved every single bit of the praise that it got. So good for them. I hear a sequel's on its way. They've already started talking about it. So good for them. Maybe I saw a bunch of photos today about, okay, Nintendo, let's start making other franchises. So let's throw a Zelda, let's throw a Metroid, let's throw a Kirby, let's throw a Smash Bros as the Avengers version of it. But yeah, I was blown away. And you know what? There's so many people I've seen that are just saying like, oh, it's not, they had one already and the original sucked. And now that, you know what? I don't mind the original. Was it completely out of left field and completely nothing to do with the source material? Pretty much 100%. I think we can all agree with that. But I kind of have a soft spot for that movie. I mean, I grew up in the 90s and I was a big fan of Mario even then. And I still have a soft spot for how much fun and goofy that movie was. Someone who kind of has that same feeling, but also kind of doesn't, is John Leguizamo, who has been making the rounds on social media talking about how he's not going to see the new movie because they took out the Latino presence. And I think some people have brought up that, well, they're Mario and such are Italian, so why does he feel this way? Well, from what I've read, there is Latino is kind of including Italian. Don't ask me because I don't remember the exact article that I read, but it is technically considered part of Latin America, I guess you would call it, or whatever. Anyways, he's mad that there's no Latino presence in the movie. Fair, but I personally am such a big John Leguizamo fan. Like I've been a fan of his for years. One of my guilty pleasures is the movie The Pest that he stars in. I've seen that movie probably 100 times, and I know it's a terrible movie, but I love it. And I think that he has an opinion, and I think he has the right to voice his opinion. He was Luigi in the original, so I understand his problem with the original movie, and I guess he has a problem with the now, but I don't know. Part of me sees it as a little bit of keeping his name in the world. And I think part of it also is a fair gripe. I think he has, again, every right to his opinion, but I'm not a guy that likes to bash on things. I try and look at the good in everything. And I think sometimes some people just, they have an opinion and they should maybe just not going to go see it. Don't see it. Like, maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just me. But anyways, I'm going to go see it. And you know what? I'm also going to watch some John Leguizamo stuff. If you've never seen John Leguizamo's stand-up specials, they're from the 90s, but he's incredible comedian. And I don't think he gets the praise that he deserves. He's a great actor too, but I love his stand-up. So go see Super Mario. I can't say it enough. They did a perfect job with it, and all the Easter eggs just make it so much better. So again, can't say anything bad about it. Let's jump into the other news after I take a little drinky drink from my groomsman cup that we got from our wedding. Let's jump into Star Wars Celebration. Star Wars Celebration was interesting. I am not a giant Star Wars fan, even though I'm working on a Star Wars costume. I've seen the movies. I've not watched any of the shows. I'm not a TV guy, so I've not watched much of The Mandalorian. I think I've seen a couple episodes. I've not watched any other shows, so anything recent, no, not for me. But I have seen all the movies, and they've announced a couple things that are coming up. Visions 2 is a TV show that I know was on Disney Plus. I have seen three episodes of that show. I didn't mind it. The concept of Visions, for those who don't know, is they get a bunch of independent animators and they have their different versions of Star Wars from different points of view, from different, anything you can think of. The one that I really enjoyed and I think kind of captured everybody's attention from season 1 was the samurai version of Star Wars. And it was all in black and white, I believe, except for the lightsabers, which were colored, which looked amazing. So if they're going to do stuff like that, I will gladly tune in to watch season 2, or at least parts of it that catch my attention. Ahsoka trailer. I have seen the trailers for anybody who doesn't, I might have not mentioned that. I have seen all the trailers, so I kind of understand what's happening on each one. The Ahsoka trailer looked amazing. That came out during the celebration, and I think Rosario Dawson looks amazing as that character. I think she's going to knock it out of the park. That is a character that I know a lot of people have been wanting since I think it was Rebels when she debuted in the animated form. So I don't see anything wrong with that. It's what everybody's always wanted. What caught my attention was the reaction that they announced a few movies are going to be coming out from Lucasfilms for the Star Wars franchise, and Daisy Ridley will be coming back to play Rey. And this caught my attention because, yes, they were at Star Wars Celebration, so there is a biased crowd. But I haven't seen a lot of hate for her, which I gotta admit, there was a part of me that was thinking she would get a little bit of, she's coming back. But I'm sorry for the accent. I don't know why I went to a Southern accent when I did that. But I was expecting that. I saw her photo pop up that she was there and they were celebrating that she was going to be coming back. But I was waiting for the backlash. I was waiting for people to start freaking out saying, Daisy, we're going off of the new Star Wars. And I'm like, well, yeah, duh. What do you think they're going to do? They can't, unfortunately, do it with half the cast from the originals. So, but she seems to be getting a lot of praise and a lot of people are happy she's coming back, which is great. I really don't have the hate for the new batch of movies, 7, 8, 9, as a lot of people did, but I thought they were fine for what they were. So I personally don't see any problem with it. I think she did a great job in her role, and I think it's great to see her coming back. I can't wait to see what they do with them. Whether they're going to get other people to come back, that's going to be different, because I've heard some of the actors in the cast on the Rebellion side are kind of hit and miss on whether they want to return. So we will see. What is Tara? She's an interesting choice to rebuild the Jedi Order, but the movies built her for that. Agreed. She, I don't think a lot of people saw her as the one going to be rebuilding it, but the problem is I don't know who else they would pick. I mean, she was kind of pushed into that role, and you can't really do much if you're going to continue that timeline from 9. So good for them, I guess. I mean, they kind of pigeonholed themselves, but again, I didn't have the hate for her that a lot of people did. Was I jumping for joy when she said she was a Skywalker at the end? Seemed a little forced, but that was me. Either way, they're going to do what they want anyways, and they'll make $1 billion. I always say that Marvel and Star Wars are the two franchises you do not have to do a trailer for. Just throw the logo on a screen and you've made $1 million. Like, you really don't have to do anything with those two franchises that won't get 1,000 people in the theater. So I don't know. Whatever they do, they're gonna milk it and get a ton of money for it. So whatever. The last thing that wasn't Star Wars related, but was talked about at the celebration and was debuted, there was the final Indiana Jones trailer, which looks really fun. I have never seen a full Indiana Jones. It was always a series that it never seemed like it was my thing. Like, it was always seemed like an older generation's movie. And I think they did, they did the original 2, 3, 3, and then the new one came out, and I was around for the new one, but it just wasn't, I don't know, there was something about it that just pulled me back. And it wasn't even I know the reviews of Crystal Skull were what they were, but that was, even before that, I wasn't dying to see them. But now, after seeing this new trailer, I might have to watch. Those 3 and 4. I guess I'll have to watch Crystal Skull, because that new trailer looks really fun. It looks really fun. The de-aging on it looks amazing. It looks like we get a lot of good flashbacks from when he was young. So, all right, Indy, I think you sold 5 movie tickets with one trailer. So good for you. And I think I'm looking at my movie map here for the 100 movies, which I know a review is coming. Been a little slow lately, but I'm telling you, Clockwork Orange review will be coming out shortly, probably within the week. I think Indy is one of them, if I remember correctly. Yes, Indiana Jones is one of them. So I will have to watch Indiana Jones at least once to go through this list. So good for them. Another great franchise coming back that I think is going to, again, make $1 billion, because it's Harrison Ford, it's Indiana Jones. There's enough fan base out there. Another trailer that came out that caught my attention was the Barbie trailer, which everybody on social media, including myself, kind of took advantage of making Barbie-themed pictures for their social media accounts. I'm meh on the Barbie trailer. I don't know. I like the idea of it. I think it has a lot of potential. I think it's got a chance to be a good movie. I think it's got a chance to be a very good movie. I can't really say I don't see it working, because the bloody Lego movie made $1 billion. So any of these toy movies are probably going to do good, but I don't know. And I'm making myself laugh just thinking of how I'm going to say this, because the pun, it felt very stiff. Barbie legs and stuff don't really move that well. It just felt a little forced and a little stiff. And there was something about it that just didn't work for me. I'm still going to see it probably. I know my wife is really interested in seeing it, but just something about that Barbie trailer just did not do it for me. And I'm kind of shocked, because all the previews and stuff I've seen really made me think that I would like it. But just once I saw that trailer, I kind of was like, yeah, we'll see. And the part that shocked me is there is going to be no Aqua Barbie girl in the movie. I mean, folks, Mattel, you had one thing to do properly, and that is put the song that everybody knows into the movie. Like, folks, Barbie girl, a toy we all know, a song we all know. Put them together. Like, if it's Aqua that has the problem with it, back up a truck, open it up, and say, tell us when to stop dumping money on your front lawn, and then live us the song. And if it's a Mattel problem or a studio problem, Like, why? Why would you not put that song in the movie? But they've come out and said that it will not make an appearance in the movie, which I think is a complete disservice. Like, everyone knows that. Everyone's going to be humming that song throughout the whole bloody movie, so just play it. I don't get Hollywood sometimes, but yeah, I'm about that trailer and that movie. But like most movies, I will probably end up seeing it. So we'll see. I'll wait and see. There was one other thing I was going to bring up. Actually, I wasn't going to bring up, but I am going to bring up. I did a TikTok. If you want to follow me on TikTok, it's Myers Corp Creations on TikTok. I did a TikTok post and I got a little bit of feedback for it, and I kind of want to talk about it here. Image came out this week of Lady Gaga playing Harley Quinn in the new Joker movie. I don't see Harley Quinn in that photo. I unfortunately can't throw it up on here, but Google it. It's just her face. I just don't see it as Harley. I think this whole idea of a Joker musical just kind of makes me scratch my head. Somebody in my comments said that because it's a musical, it's outrageous, it's over the top, and blah, blah, blah. And I just go, yeah, but why? And I said to him, and I'll say it here too, it's going back to the Jeff Goldblum Jurassic Park. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I feel that way about this movie, where you can go crazy, you can go nuts, but is that what you should do? Like, I'm personally not a giant Joker fan. I think he's overused already. And then I see something like this where I'm like, okay, you're doing a second Joker movie, which is a sequel on a great movie. So you're already going to have people comparing it to the original. And then you're also going to change the format so it's a musical. That's a lot of spinning plates that you have to make sure to keep going for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Like, it's something I wouldn't do, but that's me. And that's why I'm not in Hollywood. But I don't see Gaga being a good Harley, especially in, like, because she's a great singer. I think the singing part, she will be great, but just the look and yeah, it just didn't work for me. It just didn't work for me. But like everything else, I will see it. I will wait to pass complete judgment until I see the final product, because one photo, everyone joked at Michael Keaton about being Batman. So, who knows about, any other casting. Which, before we move on to the sponsors, a quick note. Michael Keaton is in the new Flash movie, which I love. But as someone brought up a point today, and I want to mention it here because I think it's a really interesting point. In the Flashpoint storyline, Bruce Wayne, or Batman, I should say, is in it, but it's not Bruce. It's Thomas. So the post I saw made an interesting point. Is Michael Keaton Bruce Wayne in this? Or is he Thomas from an alternate universe? And it just looks like Bruce from the movie that we all remember. That is an interesting thought that I had never, and I've read Flashpoint, I never put that together, that they could do it that way. So I am intrigued as hell to see this movie, because the Flashpoint story has so many different weaves and such that I'm wondering how much they're going to put into this movie. Because if he's actually Thomas, blowing my mind that they would think of doing that. So that was just a side thing that caught my attention today that made me really start thinking about how cool this movie's going to be. And yes, the Ezra Miller thing is just the Ezra Miller thing. Just, we're going to put up with it for one movie, and then we're never going to talk about him again, which I think we're all happy with. All right, everybody. It is almost 20 minutes into the podcast. Thank you all for joining in. Thank you for watching this at a later date if you're watching it. I am so happy everybody watches this podcast. It means an absolute ton to me. I'm just sitting here having a great time. We're going to jump quickly into the sponsors, and we're going to talk about our main event, and that is Cosplay. Sponsors for the night, as always. The sponsor is always my beautiful, loving, talented, amazing wife, I would not be here doing any of this without her. She is the person who keeps me motivated to just keep doing crazy, odd cosplay, podcast, crazy stuff in general. Hun, I love you. Thank you very much for always being there for me. I will never get tired of telling everybody that I would not be the person I am without you. I love you. Thank you very much. Let's talk about cosplay. Okay. So, the question that I always get asked when I talk about cosplay and people actually sit down and want to discuss it is the line that always the George Carlin way of always saying is, "How did you get started?" Um, I think with a lot of cosplayers, the whole point of Halloween is sort of the kickoff because it's the one time a year that you can dress up and act a fool and no one really cares. When I grew up, I had a mom who was perfectly fine making my costumes. And the thing with my mom is this is probably where I get a little bit of my cosplay, feeling from and the way I do things is she was not happy with the store-bought costumes and she was not happy with doing something basic. I grew up in the early 90s, so the idea of having a big giant costume that costs, hundreds and hundreds of dollars wasn't a thing. I grew up with, the first costume I remember growing up with, and it sticks in my mind because it was so extra than what it should be, is a spider. I was a spider for, I think it was junior kindergarten, but the costume had all 8 legs, but on each side there was 4, and they were all connected by wire. So when you moved your arm, all of them moved. And it was that little extra thing. And I know she's really proud of that, and I'm glad she is because it sticks with me. That little extra thing just makes a costume a lot better than what, I don't want to say the normal people would come up with, but there's that little bit of extra just puts it over the top. And I think things like that always stuck with me because, I grew up having a very creative outlet. And I think over time I developed that let's do a little extra, let's do something a little different. When it comes to cosplays now, even though I did it one time and it was the most half-assed version of it, I will never cosplay Joker. I will never cosplay. Who else want I cosplay? He's probably the only one because it's so overdone and there's so many people who do it and there's so many versions of it out there that I need that little bit extra and that little bit something different than the masses do. Even going into my teen and adult, I would even say teen. I was probably 10, 11. I was a big Kiss fan growing up because my mom listened to Kiss and I grew up just loving the band. I wanted to be Paul Stanley from Kiss, the lead singer, and I had a costume. And my mom, again, could have just bought, a store costume, could have just went, bought a couple little things, but she picked up a vest, she picked up pants, heels, makeup, wig, guitars, everything, and like hand glued rhinestones to the vest and the pants and the boots. I had a guitar, intricate makeup because Kiss makeup isn't easy, big wig, everything, and I just didn't appreciate it. I was out for maybe half an hour, 45 minutes on that Halloween, and I came home because I just wasn't feeling it that night. And I felt, I feel bad now looking at it, but I realized then that that little bit extra and a little bit oddball costumes is great because it stood out. Because I remember going from the couple houses that I did go, I got a great reaction from people, even though I wasn't feeling it. And again, going a little older, we would have, things at school. And, when I first started high school, I really didn't have I didn't really have a performance side to me, which if you know me now, I'm kind of, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm the performer, but I have no problem kind of being that having fun type person. And when I was in high school, we had a section of I want to say it was grade 10, where you sort of grade 9, you sort of picked you sort of had a little bit of everything. You had one class, I can't remember what it's called, but you'd have a little taste of everything. So you had a little bit of the cooking class, and it was like a month of that, and then you had a month of woodworking and a month of manufacturing and a month of this and blah blah blah. And then the next semester or the next year, you got to pick which one you liked the most, and you went that direction. Well, I liked all of them, and the one I thought the coolest was manufacturing, and that was metal work and stuff like that. So the next year, I decided, well, let's do manufacturing. So we jumped in, and I started doing it, and within day one, I was bored to tears. Couldn't stand it. Just one of the dumbest decisions I could have made. So went to my guidance counselor the next day and said, look, this class sucks. I have no care for this class. Get me out. I want to do something else. I want to do cooking class. And cooking class filled up first over all of them, because if you worked cooking class, you worked the cafeteria, which means you got free food. We were smart for a generation. And so I was like, okay, that's out. Can I do it was like a film and television class? And they said, no, that's full too, because you got to watch movies all day. I went, all right, what's left? And they said, well, you've got woodworking, which bleh, didn't care, or you've got drama class. And I went, what's drama class? They said, well, it's like acting. And I went, all right, we'll give that one a shot. See what it's like. Can't be any worse than manufacturing. So I remember going into my first class, and I didn't know anybody in the class. And every class I've ever been to since kindergarten, you walk in, big room full of desks, everyone's sitting at, and teachers at the front. I walk into drama class, and it is a big open space, no desks, everybody sitting on a carpet. So at first I'm going, this is weird. Then about 3 of the most attractive girls walk up to me and say, hi, I'm so-and-so, and give me a big hug. And I went, you know what, Mike, before you make a decision, a very rash decision, let's think about this and try this class out, because this might be a good class. And not long after that, I started enjoying the class, because you got to kind of do whatever you wanted. You got to perform, you got to be certain characters, you got to improvise, and you got to have fun. And every time since then that I've done a masquerade performance, I always look back at my 2 drama teachers, Miss Nutter and Miss Russell. If you're listening, thank you very much. I always give you to the praise that you deserve, because you guys were the first ones to look and say, just go, like improvise, just do what you want. And that really made me go, oh, I enjoy this. Then you also got to add the costuming part of it, which made me go, oh, so now I have the background of wanting to build costumes, and I have the background of wanting to perform. Oh, this is a deadly combination. And, even through high school, once I started doing drama class, we would do different performances where I wanted to make my own costumes, and I didn't have the time because I was a kid wanting to enjoy high school, but I still had that itch. And it wasn't long after that we would have parties. I met a lot of my really close friends that I still have to this day through that class. And, we would do Halloween parties and such. And I'd be, month before putting a costume together, getting it ready. And I would be, building a crow costume and Punisher and, all these, Value Village costumes. And I was only, 18, 19 at the time. And then it wasn't long. It was probably a couple years later, my buddy Tom, who was in the drama class, and it was usually his house, we were having the parties. He messaged me and said, do you want to do this thing called Fan Expo? And I said, well, what the hell's a Fan Expo? He said, well, we're going to go meet Bruce Campbell. And I said, oh, I like Bruce Campbell, because we're all big Evil Dead fans. And we also watched Burn Notice, actually. And so we all booked the weekend. We went and stayed the weekend in Toronto for the first time, which was amazing. And I walk onto this floor of this convention, and my mind's just exploding every time I blink, because I'm going, this is like everything I could want. I've got every bit of nerddom, from comics to horror to video games to anime to a point, but still, like all these crazy things, and there's people dressed up. Like I've seen pictures of, costumes at conventions and stuff, but like they weren't the greatest photos and they weren't the greatest costumes. That not being the point. But I'm walking around going, "Oh, this is a thing. Like people work hard on this stuff." And I went, "Okay, this is next year we're doing this." And the next year I went, "All right, I'm going to put all my work and all my time and all my effort into it." And this was probably, this was 2013. And I walk in with my round sunglasses and a Superman shirt, a leather jacket, and blue jeans, and I'm Superboy. I look nothing like Superboy, but in my mind, I was Superboy. And that was my first cosplay at a convention. And, I walked around and I kind of went, "Oh, I'm kind of half ass in this," because I saw Iron Man, I saw Captain America, I saw a Silver Surfer with a board. Like these were good costumes. And mind you, the benefits of 3D printing and stuff have made that even better in recent years. But even back then, seeing some of these costumes and up in person and seeing the detail was just insane. And I went, "All right, we got to do this a little better. We got to try a little harder." So the next year, I remember trying, that Halloween actually, I went, "Okay, we got to make this better. I'm going to take the year and build a costume." And by take the year to build a costume, I went, "I'm going to get pieces, go to my mom and say, build me a costume," which is what I did because I did Two-Face. And I went, "Look, I don't know how to sew. My mom can sew." So I got her 2 suits and 2 shirts and said, "I need you to slice them down the middle, ruin the suits completely, and sew them together." So they're looking like it wasn't even the white and black, it was black and gray. And then the shirt I had was white. And then the dark side was like a red blood drip kind of dress shirt. It was weird. I gotta find that. And I gotta find that costume and try it again. And we did it for Halloween, and then I did it again at Fan Expo, and I went, "Oh, okay, now I'm getting a little bit of reaction from people coming up saying it looks good and the suit looks amazing and blah blah blah." And I went, "Okay, this is getting me going. This is getting that creative juice flowing, so to speak." And the next year was the third year, and I went, we got to do something that's going to stand out. And this is when this is going back to what I said originally, which was I want to do something that no one else is doing. Prime example, the cosplay I'm working on right now for Star Wars. And there is, sorry, as I adjust because my leg's going to sleep. The costume I'm doing now for Star Wars is a character that's not even canon technically, and that is Dash Rendar. Dash Rendar, for those who had the N64 game, was from the Shadows of the Empire game. And I thought that character looked cool. I think that game is fun. So I said, "I'm doing Dash Rendar." I haven't seen jack of Dash Rendar at a convention. I even have trouble finding photos of people cosplaying Dash Rendar. So that kind of that's always kind of been my MO. And going into that third convention, I went, "All right, we got to do something different. We got to do something simple. We can't do something outrageous." And I went, Terrence and Phillip. Everyone knows South Park. Everyone would get it. They're Canadian. There's double, people find it cool for 2 reasons. Let's do it. Picked up a red shirt. My buddy Gavin had a blue shirt in electrical tape, T and P. And then I just built the mask, which was just a flat piece of cardboard with some material wrapped around it, cut the eyes out, glued. Looking back on it, it was terrible the way I did it. I just laid the fabric down, and not on my face, but on the cardboard, and just got a hot glue gun and like shakingly did a circle. And that was the eye, and then cut the excess off. Mouth didn't move, just had a line tied up with shoelaces. And we were stopped for hours, it seemed like. We hit the floor, and Everybody wanted photos with us. I couldn't believe the amount of attention we got. We're standing in the middle of the floor and people are just going boom, 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 in and out, in and out, in and out, taking photos with us. And I actually just posted a bunch of photos or a bunch of my cosplays on Pinterest, and I realized someone had commented a little while ago about it. And I noticed it when we started seeing photos on Facebook about it. We had the wrong heads on, and nobody said anything. So for anybody out there who is that detailed about cosplay, which being detailed is one thing, but then there's those people who like take it to the extreme. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it, because the chances of somebody seeing those imperfections is highly unlikely. Proving we had two heads on that were complete opposite and nobody said a word because everyone was just enjoying it. So just enjoy your cosplay. And that was the point where it kind of went, okay, we got to go. This is a thing for me. And I asked, Gavin, and, we had a bunch of people, the six of us that hang out. There was so many times where they were like, let's do, group cosplay. And I just went, I'm good with it, but I know I'm going to spend weeks and months working on this thing. And I know, and I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not giving an opinion about anybody. I just know that I, as that artist bug, is going to this is going to be my thing. And it's going to be a whole ton of effort and not as much. I'm not, again, saying anything negative. It's just, I know the person I am, and I'm going to dedicate all my time to this, and people are going to dedicate less. Not saying one's better. I'm just saying. So that always fell through. So I just went, okay, I'm gonna do it myself. And I tried a couple different cosplays that just weren't, I didn't really dig it. Like I tried Deathstroke, and it wasn't 100%. Like I didn't put all my time and effort into it. But then when I did Luigi, that was the moment where that spark hit and just erupted into a flame of, okay, this is me now. This is the thing that I'm going to do. And the Luigi one was interesting because I originally was just going to do a regular Luigi. But after getting the overalls, the shirt, the hat, the gloves, the boots, I realized it's not enough. I need something extra. And I will be completely honest now. There are two cosplayers who you can find them on Facebook and everywhere else, and they do a Fallout version of Luigi and Mario. And I think one of their significant others does a Peach as well. And if you look at that Luigi and you look at my first Luigi, I ripped him the fuck off. Like, almost carbon copy, except for the little Fallout tweaks. Like, he's got the Pit Boy on his arm. I don't. But like, I stole so much from him. And I won my first award that year. And everyone was just loving the costume. And I went, okay, I want to do this. And ever since then, I have just wanted to build everything. And it has been a process. Like, there have been years where I have done cosplays and it has not been the results I've wanted. There have been, Judge Dredd is a perfect example. There it is. The amount of time and effort that went into, this is the second draft of the helmet, but the amount of time that went into the first round of this and the costume and everything else, I knew I would get a reaction. I knew it. I could guarantee it. And I got there and nobody cared because the Judge Dredd movie had just come out and everyone was enthralled with the new tactical version. Didn't have the big shoulders like the comic book did, but I had a comic book version of it, and it died a slow death that weekend, and I was not happy with it. I look back at it fondly now because it was a lesson learned of Don't do it for anybody else. If you want to build a costume and you want to build something that is something you're going to be happy with, don't build it because it's a fandom or it's a topic. Like, there was a part of me that's like, I want to build, a new Bowser one because, the Peaches song is big right now. But I'm like, no, because that's not, I don't want to do it for a trend. I want to do it because I want to do it. And that was the moment when I was like, oh man, nobody cares. And to be fair, I scrapped 90% of that costume is gone because I just was so frustrated. But now I look back and go, I should rebuild that because I really enjoyed that costume and I really enjoyed being Judge Dredd because he's one of my favorite characters. So, there's a lot of lessons that you'll learn if you're an up and coming cosplayer and you want to try something like this. I've had a couple people ask, how do I get started and blah, blah, blah. I said, just build something. Like, that's always my answer to anybody that asks the question, how do I get started in cosplay? Build something you want. Like, plain and simple. The big thing that I built when I first really wanted to get into this was I built my wife the fist of Doom from Hellboy's fist. And I just went online. The internet's a great thing. I don't know if you guys have ever tried this thing called the internet. It is a crazy thing. It might catch on. Who knows? Go on YouTube or go on Pinterest or go on Google and just Google what you want to make DIY cosplay. And you will probably find somebody who has pictures, a video preferably, or instructions on how to make that item. And just try it. Take your time, don't put a limit on it. Just enjoy yourself. And, it's taken me many years to realize that I just need to enjoy it for me and do what I want to do. And that's, I think that's the essence of cosplay is building something that you enjoy wearing, you enjoy making. And even if you don't make it, even if you buy it, great. Guess what? I got a cosplay coming in the mail because I can't sew and I can't wait to wear it. And I know it's not going to be, it's not some big mech suit. It's a suit and that's fine. You don't have to build everything, but if you want to do something, just try it because that's the only way you're going to find out if you like it or not. And then one of the questions I get a lot is, how do you know you're a cosplayer? By saying you're a cosplayer. Like, there's no like, jury that's going to tell you if you're a cosplayer. There's not. You're just going to be one. And if you tell yourself you are one and you do those things like build and take photos and go to conventions in them and so you're kind of a cosplayer. Like, that's kind of all you have to do. It's actually the entry level to be a cosplayer is actually very simple. Build a cosplay. Like, that's like people who say, how do I know if I work out? Do you work out? Yes. Well, then you work out. Like, that's kind of, it's very, very small barrier of entry. So, any advice anybody ever has is good advice. Take it with a grain of salt. Take it for what, if you need that advice and you need people to talk to, I'm more than happy to give advice. I've been doing this for a decade. I am not an expert in the least, but, I've ran the block a couple times with some other people and I've enjoyed it. And, that's me as a cosplayer. And I'm going to be continuing to do this. As I said, you can't really see it from this angle. Maybe if I spin the chair, there is the Star Wars costume. That's Desh Randar's chest armor. Did a prime of Placidip on that, and we'll be working on that probably this week. And I'm going to try and get it done by May the 4th. Unfortunately, if the Geeks & Co. guys are listening, I will probably not be attending the event on the 4th, which I was hoping to, but unfortunately it is the only time I have available to go see Guardians of the Galaxy, and I kind of really want to see that with my friends. So that is the only night I'm able to go is May the 4th. So unfortunately, I will not be going. But I hope to get the armor done and the costume done in time for May the 4th so I can at least get some photos to celebrate Star Wars Day. So, but yeah, that is my cosplay story. I will probably be doing another episode about cosplay sooner or later. It's again kind of what I do, so you'll probably be hearing me talk about it a little bit more here and there. But thank you folks for joining. We are at the 45-minute mark. We're going to do 3 quick Q&As and then we will let you guys get out of here for the evening. Let's start with our first question. We got this in yesterday. So let's see. Best and worst parts of cosplay. The best part of cosplay is the performance. I love performing in cosplay. Every single time I go to a masquerade, I am like so hyped to be there. You can just, every other cosplayer is nervous. Every other cosplayer is, asking, are you okay? You're okay. And I'm just jumping in the corner like a kid. Like, I can't wait to do this. This is so fun. So I love that part of it. I love even just walking the floor and seeing people's reactions, like especially like Ghost Rider at Toronto Comic Con a few weeks ago. I had a blast. I was sweating bullets, but I was having a blast. I love the reaction. It is worth every problem and failure that comes beforehand. Just getting out there and seeing the reaction is worth it. The worst part of cosplay, is just like everything else in the world. There are those people who are in the fandom who you just wish weren't. And they're, I hear so many people talking about the way, they feel about themselves and if they should cosplay and if they shouldn't cosplay. Hey, I am 6 foot, I am 195 pounds, and I have been body shamed. It happens. There are people in every fandom that just look at you and they believe you shouldn't be a part of it. And that's fine. Again, it goes back to what I said before. Do it for you. Don't do it for anybody else. And if you're the only one, then you're the only one. Because I can tell you right now, if you're the only one out there dressing up as a certain character that nobody cares about, there is enough people in this world. There will be others out there that want to be like you, and you will become the nucleus of that group, and you will have people flocking to you to be the cool person. So just enjoy it. But there, in every fandom, there's always those people that you're just like, I wish they weren't a thing. So it happens. It comes with the territory. I don't take it personal. It just happens. Second, favorite cosplay inspirations. There are a ton of major cosplayers out there. People like Night Mage, you can find him on every social media platform. It seems like he busts out costumes like every week. He's got new ones. I remember seeing a photo of his storage and it's like Tote City. He's got hundreds of costumes that I swear he's only worn once, but he spends time in and time out building these great and they're not like, that's the other thing, they're not all world class. Like I can see as an artist, I can see the flaws in it, and that's fine because the way he does it is so good, and the way and the amount that he can bust out that quick, applause always to him. I would love for him to be able to come up and do a convention up here because I would love to meet him and I would love to just talk his ear off about cosplay. When it comes to other people, Kamui Cosplay is always one of my top 1 or 2 because I have bought so many patterns from her, and without her and her work, I would not be the cosplayer I am today because her patterns have saved my ass so many times. Her tutorials are amazing. We met her. What was the convention? Unplugged in Toronto, probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. We met her and she was amazing to me. We got a couple of her books. We got a couple of her autographs. She lives in She was living in Germany. She just moved, if I remember correctly, and she is not doing any more international cosplay conventions because it's just too much work for her to bring everything over. But I'm so glad I got to meet her. She's incredible. Um, even the people like Jessica Negri, I know a lot of people love Jessica Negri. I know a lot of people don't like Jessica Negri, but she gets the idea of cosplay out to people, so I can't bash her. I met her before. She's been nothing but sweet to me and people that I know, so I can't say anything bad about her. So she'd probably be my top three. Yaya Han, Yaya Han, number four. You know what? I'll put her as number three. She was incredible as well. We met her a few years ago, and yeah, she was amazing. Just sits down, talks cosplay, has no problem answering any questions, including build stuff or how do I fix this, and she's more than happy to do that. But those are the big ones. Like locally, I pat them on the back 1,000 times, but those Geeks and Co guys are guys and gals. I shouldn't, it's 2023, can't say that. Guys and gals, the whole team with them is just they're unbelievable. Like they have taken a fandom for cosplay and just made it so inclusive and just allowing everybody to join no matter what your skill level, what your cosplay is. I can't say enough good things about them. They're great guys and gals. The whole team's amazing. The amount of stuff that they do for absolutely nothing. Like they don't get paid for this. They just do it because they love it. So those guys, Cosplay Lance guys as well, like they're doing magazines and all these things and podcasts just to have the cosplay idea out there. So all anybody local that does it is just they're great. I can't say enough good things. And lastly, let's go to the last question. Funniest cosplay ever. This is a story I love because it made me almost fall over laughing. So this was the first fan expo. So this was 2009. We were sitting in one of the hallways. If I'm not going to describe the Metro Toronto Convention Center for those who don't know. We were sitting in the one hallway and we're just eating some food. And from down the corner, we see a Michael Myers costume, which because it's my name, everybody goes, "It's you." And I look and it's Michael Myers. He's walking down the hall and he's dragging somebody. He's dragging, which I assume is a significant other of his. And she's wearing a backpack and he's grabbing her by like the little loop on the backpack, or he's grabbing the backpack itself and he's dragging her backwards, pulling her behind. And under her, she has made a makeshift, if you remember grade school, scooter board. So like a little piece of wood with four wheels underneath, and she's rolling on the wheels. And he's staying in character, and she's just slumped like this, being dead. No blood or anything, just she's dead. And he's dragging her. And we're, I can't really say space-wise, but let's say we're here. He's walking this way. The end of the hall is probably 50 feet, let's say 50 feet. And it's about another 50 feet to the curve to go to a washroom. And he's walking for how much longer before I don't know. But he's walking here and he's walking past and staying complete character, walking straight, not, just dragging. And he gets to the corner and he turns to go in the washroom. So I'm going like, I gotta go. Like, why is he going to the washroom? I gotta go see this. So I get up, I go walking over there, and I turn the corner, and he's standing there, and he's broken character at this point. And she's standing there holding her hands under her armpits. And she's going, ow, ow. Because what's happened is he's dragging her, but what's pulling her is the straps of the backpacker under her armpits, and they're just burning under her armpits. And I'm just like, you guys didn't think this through. And she goes, I didn't think we'd be going this long. And I'm like, I just crack it up thinking of how bad that burn and bruise is going to be tomorrow. Mind you, it appeared like they got tons of photos, so good for them. But just seeing her being dragged looked so cool. But thinking about it later, it's just, ow. Like, it's probably the most uncomfortable looking cosplay I've ever seen. But It definitely got a chuckle from me, and it definitely got a chuckle when I tell anybody that story. But we are at the 55-minute mark, and I think it is about time to wrap this up. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thank you all for listening to me jabber on and on about my cosplay and about cosplay life. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you all. Next week, this week was supposed to be backyard wrestling, but I had a few people talking about cosplay, and I said, I haven't done one yet. We're on episode 8, so we should do cosplay. Next week, I was thinking about doing backyard wrestling, which I think we will do at some point, but I think the more fun topic will be not backyard wrestling, but that I trained to be a professional wrestler at one point. Yes, this guy, 195-pound, extremely pale boy at 19 went, I'm going to be a pro wrestler. And I trained for a whole year at my local wrestling gym with some people. And I actually had interactions and matches with people who are currently in professional wrestling on major promotions. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how much fun it was. We're going to talk about my character that I was going to build. That's the first time I've coughed in 8 episodes. We're going to talk about the character I was building and the great things and how it all crumbled down. But we're going to talk about all that next week. Thank you all very much for joining. Can't wait to see you next week for Monday Night Nerd, where again, we're going to talk about me as a pro wrestler. This will be fun. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good week, folks.